ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणसहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परा वन्दे गुरुपरम्परा। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। Just give me a second. We'll do the chapter 8 chanting. Is any of you able to chant the 8th chapter?
I will try.
Yes, please go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes, madam. Only that there is some background noise. I don't know whether it's because of the pages of the book you're turning, but that's fine. You can go ahead, Madhuriji.
I don't know how to start it.
Om Shri Krishna Paramatmane Namaha. Atha Shrimad Bhagavad Gita Ashtamo Dhyayaha Akshara Parabrahma Yogaha Arjuna Uvacha. You go ahead.
Kim tad brahma kim kimadhyatmam kim karma purushottamam.
Kim tad brahma kimadhyatmam kim
karma
purushottamam adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidaivam kimuchyate.
Adhiyajnah katham potra dehesmin madhusudana प्रयाणकाले च कथं ज्ञेयोऽसि नियतात्मभिः। श्रीभगवान् उवाच अक्षरं ब्रह्म परमं स्वभावोऽध्यात्ममुच्यते भूतभावोद्भवकरो विसर्गः कर्म सञ्चितः अधिभूतं क्षरो भावः पुरुषश्चाधिदैवतम् अधियज्ञोऽहमेवात्र देहे देहभूतां वर अन्तकाले च मामेव स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरम् यः प्रयाति स मद्भावम् याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः यं यं वापि स्मरन् भावं त्यजत्यन्ते कलेवरं तं तमेवैति कौन्तेय सदा तद्भावभावितः तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु मामनुस्मरयुध्य च मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्मामे वैश्यस्य संशयम् अभ्यासयोगयुक्तेन चेतसा नान्यगामिना परमं पुरुषं दिव्यं याति पार्थानुचिन्तयन् कवि पुराण ब्रह्मराजी प्लीज हेल्प
कविं पुराणमनुशासितारं मनोरणीयां समनुस्मरेद्यः
सर्वस्य धाता
रमचिन्त्य रूपम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसः परस्तात्
प्रयाणकाले
मनसाचलेन
भक्त्या
तो
युक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक्
सतं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्
प्लीज कैरी ऑन
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति विशन्ति अद्यतयो वीतरागाः यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोरधि निरुध्य च मूर्ध्न्याधायात्मनः प्राणाम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम् क्षम्यताम् मूर्ध्न्याधायात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम् ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन् यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम् अनन्यचेता सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभ पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयमशाश्वतम् नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः आब्रह्मभुवनाल्लोकाः पुनरावर्तिनोऽर्जुन मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तं महर्यद् ब्रह्मणो विदुः रात्रिं युगसहस्रान्तां ते होरात्रविदो जनाः अव्यक्ताद्व्यक्तय सर्वाः प्रभवन्त्यः रागमे रात्र्यागमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रैवाव्यक्तसंज्ञके भूतग्राम स एवायं भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्र्यागमे वश पार्थ प्रभवत्यहरागमे परस्तस्मात्तु भावोऽन्यः अव्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः यः स सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति अव्यक्तोऽक्षर इत्युक्तः तमाहुः पापरमां गतिम् यं प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम पुरुष स पर पार्थ भक्त्या लभ्यस्त्वनन्यया यस्यान्तस्थानि भूतानि येन सर्वमिदं ततम् यत्र काले त्वनावृत्तिः आवृत्तिं चैव योगिनः प्रयाता यान्ति तं कालं वक्ष्यामि भरतर्षभा अग्निर्ज्योतिरः शुक्लः षण्मासा उत्तरायणम् तत्र प्रयाता गच्छन्ति ब्रह्म ब्रह्मविदो जनाः धूमो रात्रिस्तथा कृष्णः षण्मासा दक्षिणायनम् तत्र चान्द्रमसं ज्योतिः योगी प्राप्य निवर्तते शुक्लकृष्णे गतीयेते जगतः शाश्वते मते एकया यात्यनावृत्तिः अन्यया वर्तते पुनः नैते श्रुति पार्थ जानन योगी मुह्यति कश्चन तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु योगयुक्तो भवार्जुन वेदेषु यज्ञेषु तपस्सु चैव दानेषु यत् पुण्यफलं प्रदिष्टम् अत्येति तत्सर्वमिदं विदित्वा योगी परं स्थानमुपैति चाद्यम् ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुन संवादे अक्षर परब्रह्म योगो नाम अष्टमोऽध्यायः ॐ तत्सत् अथ नवमोऽध्यायः राजविद्याय राजगुह्ययोग नाम श्रीभगवानुवाच इदं तु ते गुह्यतमं प्रवक्ष्याम्यनसूयवे ज्ञानं विज्ञानसहितं यज्ञात्वा मोक्ष्यसे शुभात् हरि ओम. So yesterday we were looking at verse 22nd and Brahmaraji, should I repeat from 22nd onwards? Kindly guide me.
Yeah, I think we said we will repeat it, no? Because
Yeah.
lot of new terms and understanding. We'll do from second.
Yeah. And shall we, just suggestion, shall we, because there are many technical terms, after one verse, we can have the Manana after every verse, especially
Yes,
for this.
We'll do that. No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dhanyavad.
perfect.
Yeah. पुरुष सपर पार्थ भक्त्या लभ्यस्त्वनन्यया यस्यान्तस्थानि भूतानि येन सर्वमिदं ततम् पुरुषः सपरः that purusha is limitless partha o partha labhyah tu but is to be gained bhaktya ananyaya kshamyatam bhaktya ananyaya by a devotion in which there is no other. Yasya antasthani bhutani, within whom are the beings or creation. Yena, by whom. Sarvam idam, all this. Tatam is pervaded. Purushah sah para, parah, labhyah tu, bhaktaya ananyaya yasya antasthani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. That Purusha is the limitless, O Partha, but can be gained by a devotion in which there is no other. He is the one in whom all the beings have their being, the one by whom all this is pervaded. The word Purusha indicates both Tatastha Lakshana and Swarupa Lakshana. Purushah sah parah bhaktya labhyah tu. That Purusha is to be gained. It can be gained through parabhakti. Purusha Shankara here means the one who sings in the body, in that he resides there without performing any action. That is why Vishnu is depicted as lying down. He is not sleeping at all, but is very much awake as Chaitanya Swarupa. Atma, which is Chaitanya Swarupa, is resting in this physical body. This is the Tatastha Lakshana of Purusha, the definition that defines something in terms of its connection to something, as we saw before. When we say that out of which the world has come, by which it is sustained, and unto which it returns is Brahman, this is Tatastha Lakshana of Brahman. It indicates that Brahman is not to be sought as name and form or beyond name and form. It is to be sought as that out of which all the names and forms have come, by which they are sustained and unto which they return. My own physical body is a name and form, and therefore non-separate from Brahman. So I need not search for Brahman. I need not wait for certain conditions or go to a place or be in a situation where I can see Brahman. Every place, every time is Brahman. And it is a matter of recognizing what is already existing now. The very knower is non-separate from Brahman, as is everything he knows. From this, we understand that everything is Brahman. This is Tatastha Lakshana. Purusha can also mean Purna, limitless. This is Swarupa Lakshana, a definition which tells the nature of Brahman. It is not limited by space or time or any attribute, even though all qualities belong to it. Purnamadaha Purnamidam, that is whole, this is whole. And this whole coming into being is only a manifestation of name and form. If this whole is removed from that whole, what remains is that whole. Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Any way you look at it, it is Purna. Therefore, it is Para. That one who obtains in the physical body is Para or limitless. Para becomes the reason for it being Purusha, or we can say Purusha, the Jiva, is nothing but Para. Either way, it has the same meaning. How are you going to reach this Para Purusha when it is already the nature of yourself? Bhagavan says it is gained only by a devotion in which there is no other. Ananya bhaktya tu labhyah. Shankara says here, it is a devotion characterized by knowledge. If he is already non-separate from yourself, the only way you can pursue him is through the committed pursuit of knowledge. Usually, when there is love, two people are involved and a fusion takes place. In the devotional literature, the jivas represented by the gopis, are totally absorbed in the pursuit of Krishna, who is Parameshwara. This can be called Ananya Bhakti, devotion to one object and only that object. But when another object is involved, it is really Anya Bhakti. Here Bhagavan says Ananya Bhakti, a devotion in which there is no other, a devotion to Atma, which is not other than yourself. Generally, the result of devotion is to go to other lokas, and the commitment is for that purpose. But in Ananya Bhakti, the commitment is to one's Atma. Bhakti here implies an inquiry that is imbued with Shraddha and longing. Because of that, only a Jignashu or a Mumukshu can gain this knowledge. Anything knowable that is other than yourself, you can stumble upon, but not Atma. There are many reasons for that, but the most important one is that Atma is not an object. It is well hidden because the person who looks for it is really looking for himself. So the problem of seeking should be reduced to simple jignasa. All desires are reduced to one dominant consuming desire to know the Atma. That is what is meant by the word Ananya Bhakti here. About that
Jai Guru
Atma.
Dev Bela,
Yeah,
can you just read this one more time?
yeah.
This Jignasu and then
Mumukshu.
Mumukshu.
Yeah, okay.
Even before that, Gopis, Ananya
Yeah,
Bhakti. From that, if you can just read one more time. Thank you.
yeah, sure. How are you going to reach this Parapurusha when it is already the nature of yourself? Bhagavan says it is gained only by a devotion in which there is no other. Ananya bhaktyatu labhyaha. Shankara says here it is a devotion characterized by knowledge. If he is already non-separate from yourself, the only way you can pursue him is through the committed pursuit of knowledge. Usually, when there is love, two people are involved and a fusion takes place. In the devotional literature, the jivas represented by the gopis are totally absorbed in the pursuit of Krishna, who is Parameshwara. This can be called Ananya Bhakti, devotion to one object and only that object. But when another object is involved, it is really Anya Bhakti. Here Bhagavan says, Ananya Bhakti, a devotion in which there is no other, a devotion to Atma, which is not other than yourself. Generally, the result of devotion is to go to other lokas and the commitment is for that purpose. But in Ananya Bhakti, the commitment is to one's Atma. Bhakti here implies an inquiry that is imbued with Shraddha and longing. Because of that, only a Jignashu or Mumukshu can gain this knowledge. Anything knowable that is other than yourself, you can stumble upon, but not Atma. There are many reasons for that, but the most important one is that Atma is not an object. It is well hidden because the person who looks for it is really looking for himself. So, the problem of seeking should be reduced to simple jignasa. All desires are reduced to one dominant consuming desire to know the Atma. That is what is meant by the word Ananya Bhakti here. I repeat this last paragraph. It is the very most important paragraph. Anything knowable that is other than yourself you can stumble upon, but not Atma. There are many reasons for that, but the most important one is that Atma is not an object. It is well hidden because the person who looks for it is really looking for himself. So the problem of seeking should be reduced to simple jignasa. All desires are reduced to one dominant consuming desire to know the Atma. That is what is meant by the word Ananya Bhakti here. About that Atma, he says, Yasya antah sthani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. The one within whom are all beings and things in the world, and by whom all beings are pervaded, that is Atma. Just as an effect is pervaded by its material cause, all names and forms which are effects or are pervaded by Atma, the cause. Like the rope for the snake, Atma is the Vivarta Upadana Karana, the material cause that does not undergo any change. I repeat, like the rope for the snake, Atma is the Vivarta Upadana Karana, the material cause that does not undergo any change. Please recall the word Kutastha, that substratum which doesn't change. It is the cause. Shankara uses the word Karya Bhutani in the form of a product to describe these beings. As a product like a pot exists within its cause, the clay, all things exist within or are comprised of Purusha. Not only that, this entire world is pervaded by Purusha. Just like a pot is pervaded by space, and within space alone, all pots exist, this Atma, being the cause of everything, is the one in whom all have their being and by whom all are pervaded. I repeat this last sentence. Just like a pot is pervaded by space, and within space alone, all pots exist, this Atma, being the cause of everything, is the one in whom all have their being and by whom all are pervaded. Being the cause of everything, there is nothing that is away from it. The existence of everything belongs only to Sat Chit Atma. What we call creation is nothing but name and form. Upon analysis, every name and form is reducible to further name and form until the entire Nam Rupa is reduced to Sat Chit Ananda Atma. Wherever there is name or form, understand that there is this Atma which is non-separate from it. This Atma is to be gained by Ananya Bhakti. Bhakti implies something that you love. In Ananya Bhakti, all objects of desire are reduced to one, the Atma. The desire to know that Atma is Jignasa, and the love to know that Atma is Bhakti. So, I repeat, in Ananya Bhakti, all objects of desire are reduced to one, Atma. The desire to know that Atma is Jignasa, and the love to know that Atma is Bhakti. Any form of Bhakti is meant to discover Ishvara, and the discovery of Parmeshwara as Atma is the end of the Jignasa. In these verses, Bhagavan points out two types of seekers. One group is directly and totally committed to Brahman. For them, there is no travel after death because there is no subtle body. Its cause, the causal body, ignorance, has been destroyed along with all its products. The karma standing in the account of the jiva is no longer separate from Brahman. Therefore, in effect, there is no causal body. So there is no more birth. The other seekers are the meditators, upasakas. They go to Brahmaloka and there, being taught by Brahmaji, gain liberation. Then there are those who are doing good karma, desiring a better life later. They do gain a better life, but they have to come back again. All this is pointed out here. Keeping this in mind, Shankara introduces the next 4 verses. This, before I go to the topic, anyone would like to share because, or I will complete this. I think I'll complete this. Keeping this in mind, Shankara introduces the next 4 verses. These discuss the meditators, the upasakas who impose the concept of Brahman upon Omkara as a symbol in order to invoke or gain Parmeshwara. For them, liberation is only after death. Such people, the Shruti says, can go to Brahmaloka. They travel through the Uttar Marga, one of the routes followed after death. Those who perform good karma, desiring a better life, later follow the southern route, Dakshina Marga, when they depart from this life. Both paths are shown to point out that there are 2 different directions. One, Uttara Marga, goes to a place from where there is no possibility of return. The other, Dakshina Marga, goes to a place from where you will return. The south stands for samsara or death and north for moksha. Everyone is attracted to moksha, even those who strive for the other lokas. Because of ignorance and confusion, they pursue lesser things, thinking that those will solve the problem. The northern route is also called the solar or bright path, the other one, the smoky or cloudy path. Both are pointed here only to praise the Uttara Marga. I think there are 2 different topics we have to just simplify.
I think here, Swamiji, there are 3 paths here, isn't it? One is that of a Brahmanishta who recognizes Brahman. For him, there is no return. Whereas those are the second is the upasakas who follow, who believe that practicing meditation on Omkara, they will attain, they will recognize Brahman. So that is the Uttara Marga. And then the third one is those that do good karma, isn't it? That they go through the Dakshina Marga. They come back to the samsara. South means samsara, so they come back. Whereas the Uttara Marga, they go to the to Brahma Loka. Maybe we can, yeah.
I just would like to quote here from that Keno Upanishad. Last week, remember, we had one reference. I had the Keno Upanishad that who is the one who sees behind our eyes, who is the one who smells behind our nose, who is the one who hears behind our ears. There was one. So I have just brought
that reference. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
The stanza says, Om kene shitam patati preshitam manah kena pranah prathamah praiti yuktah kene shitam vachamimam vadanti chakshuhu shrotram ka udevo unity. Meaning, by whom willed and directed does the mind light on its subjects? It is written by whom, huh? I have just copied the small text which was from the Google. I repeat, by whom willed and directed does the mind light on its subjects? By whom commanded does prana, the first, move? By whose will do man speak this speech? What intelligence directs the eye and the ear? So that was the shloka. It is by whom I did not. I just could collect that the whole behind all our sense organs. It is that Parama Purusha only, whom I just yesterday we said, read, and today also the Tatastha Lakshana, the one who is like lying down as on a Sheshanag. So behind every sense organ, that Parama Purusha is there. Which is Chaitanya Swarupa. I don't know whether I'm correct in my understanding, because it is by whom willed and directed does the mind light on its subjects. So I think that is like Sri Ramana Maharshi's question, who am I?
Jai Gurudev.
Yeah.
In this verse number 22, the Purusha which is described, that it has been described in two ways, like it is the Tatastha Lakshana and the Swarupa Lakshana. So
Yes.
the line which says that it means the one who seems to sleep in the body, in that he resides there without performing any action. So what I like, and it is compared to the depiction of the Vishnu lying. Vishnu is that all pervading. It means that Vishnu means that it pervades everything. So here, the one who is sleeping in the body and he's not performing any action, what I interpreted was that the person he is rid of all his desires. He and he is remembering God in the way of that he does not have any that nishkam bhav he has. So it is that state in which because there is no desire left for him to accomplish, so he prays to that Brahman, or that that higher supreme, that he doesn't get entangles in the desire, and because of he doesn't have that life after death sequence of life. He resides in his body. So that is the Chaitanya Swarupa of his Atma, that he is being aware of, and all his desires has ended. And this is the Tatastha Lakshana of the Brahman. And the Swarupa Lakshana is that it is that itself, the Purusha means that it is Purna. It is not limited to the space or time or any attribute. All it is whole in itself. It doesn't need any attribute to explain, like we read that Om initially. So it is Purna in itself. So that is that the Purusha is the Purna, means it's Purna. And how it is related to the Ananya Bhakti is that when you know that you have already realized and you have reached that the Parapurusha, that you have that wholeness in you, you have no desires in you, and you only seek that Brahman. That is the Ananya Bhakti, which is being described here in relation with gopis also, because the gopi, we heard that whenever Krishna used to play his flute, gopi would leave everything and would rush to Krishna. That is the pictorial thing, but the main the theme behind it is that it is that they have in their mind every time that Parameshwara or that Krishna figure every time in their mind whole day. Whatever they are doing, they are not engrossed in that activity. Their mind and their heart is always in Krishna. So that is the Ananya Bhakti, which I could figure out reading this. And the people because they have some desire to accomplish, they pray to other devatas, and this because of that they go to the other lokas, and that is the Anya Bhakti, because they are still entangled in their uh, self desires, whatever they may be. So they are praying to different devatas, and they are going. They reach that because they are praying, they will be on a higher this thing, and they will achieve that what they are desiring, and they will be reaching that loka also because of their bhakti. But that bhakti would be called Anya Bhakti, because this line is mentioned that problem of seeking should be reduced to simple jignasa, that you are only seeking yourself or the higher consciousness. It is only that you are seeking. All desires are reduced to one dominant consuming desire to know the Atma. No other desire is there. All the desire are reduced to only one dominant consuming desire, that is to know the Atma. So this is the Ananya Bhakti. Yeah, Jai Gurudev. I followed this.
Very beautiful, very beautiful. So very beautiful. Dhanyavad for explaining. The important points to remember is that that contentment, that fullness, Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnam Eva Vashishyate. We have come from that whole and we will remain that whole.
We have that santosh in us, that contentment. If you have that, if you have that contentment and the full, it will lead to fullness only. Like if you don't desire and you think how to explain, some person are very contented. They don't bother to achieve anything, like in ambitious way or in a financial way or in relations also. They are always contented. That feeling of contentment I think it is gained over the lifetimes when you live in that way, and you are contemplating and analyzing and seeking that your is the desire which I am having, is it is worthwhile pursuing, or is it just like it becomes a series of desires, like we initially read also, that one desire you have
Leads
at least
to another. Yeah.
sequence of desires. So when you are contemplating in that way, that you are analyzing the
Jnana, that
desires,
jig-
like then it slowly that desires number of desire will be lessened, and that contentment feeling will come. It will come not in a day. I think it will be in like many lifetimes. You will take to have that contentment feeling, and until unless that contentment feeling is not there, you cannot become that your antarmukhi, like you cannot become antarmukhi, because you all attractions would be there in the world for you see, sometimes you are seeking that and another, so you will be caught up in that desire, and that will lead you to the action, and as every action binds you, so you will be entrapped in this whole cycle of karmic cycle. It will, you will not gain that moksha. You will life and this life and death cycle will go on. Yeah. Jai Gurudev.
Beautiful. Dhanyavad. Very well explained.
Thank you so much, Dr. Savita, for that. Bela, can you read that part which says in the following 4 verses,
Yeah.
the different paths? Can you just read that para one more time?
Yeah. By at the end of the, I forgot where it was. In the last one, right? Keeping this in mind, Shankara introduces the next 4 verses. Here, no, Brahmaraji?
Yeah, that is the one.
Yeah. These discuss the meditators, the upasakas, who impose the concept of Brahman upon Omkara as a symbol in order to invoke or gain Parameshwara. For them, liberation is only after death. Such people, the Shruti says, can go to Brahmaloka. They travel through the Uttar Marga, one of the routes followed after death. Those who perform good karma, desiring a better life later, follow the southern route, Dakshina Marga, when they depart from this life. Both paths are shown to point out that there are 2 different directions. One, Uttar Marga, goes to a place from where there is no possibility of return. The other, Dakshina Marga, goes to a place from where you will return. The south stands for samsara or death, and north for moksha. Everyone is attracted to moksha. Even those who strive for the other lokas, even those who strive for the other lokas. Because of ignorance and confusion, they pursue lesser things, thinking that those will solve the problem. The northern route is also called the solar or bright path. The other one, the smoky or cloudy path. Both are pointed out here only to praise the Uttara Marga.
So the Uttara Marga is for those who are doing Upasana with Om as a symbol of Brahman. Correct?
Right.
But before that, he talked of the for the jnani who, even while living, he can have this Jivan Mukta. That is a Brahmanishta. So for these people who are Upasakas, they traverse through the Uttara Marga, they go to Brahmaloka. But then earlier we had learned that only if they have enough punya and the grace, they will be taught by Brahmaji and then they will get that Krama Mukti. Otherwise, they will have to return back. So, but over here, I think it is mentioned Uttara Marga is the path of no return, which is, I think we'll go with what the reading gives, and we'll understand it better maybe.
I think, but here it is clear, sorry to interrupt, here it is clear two types of seekers. One is direct and another is these Upasakas through Uttara and Dakshin. One is direct. I will repeat once again. See, the Bhagwan points two types of seekers. One group is directly and totally committed to Brahman. For them, there is no travel after death because there is no subtle body. Its cause, the causal body, ignorance, has been destroyed along with all its products. The karma standing in the account of the jiva is no longer separate from Brahman. Therefore, in effect, there is no causal body, so there is no more birth. So this is the direct. And the other seekers are the meditators. So I think for them, upasakas, these two, Uttara and Dakshina. Am I correct, Brahmaraji?
Yeah, that is all like
correct.
all.
So the first one is those that have already recognized while living in this body.
While living,
correct. So they're Jivan Muktas. For them, there's no subtle, no causal body. Therefore, there is nothing. They attain moksha while living. So there is no question of a rebirth. Whereas those that are upasakas, all the others, are categorized into two. One is those that do upasana on Om. They consider Om as a symbol, as representing Brahman, and they take to the Uttara Marga. They go to Brahmaloka. The others, they pursue all the other rituals. They do good karma, thinking that they will get a better place, a better life. For all of them, they follow the Dakshina Marga. That is the south, which is representing samsara. So for them, they continue in a cycle of birth and death. Correct? I think we want to talk about this. We can. We're going to the next.
Yeah, I think that is the gist of this paragraph. And further,
Can I say something? Can I add?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, Guru, in this chapter, when Gurudev was explaining in ashram, he said Uttar Marga is a marga of who are aware, not ignorant, not deluded. So even if in the middle they go away, so they will come again and practice their journey towards the moksha. And already who are in knowledge, Uttar Marga is a knowledge path. So whoever is in knowledge, so they will get enlightened according to their time. But who are in between, leave the body, they will come back and they will practice. And the Dakshinayan is the totally ignorant people's mark. So they will come to Sansara again. Thank you.
So the people who are practicing the Ananya Bhakti, they will be going through the Uttara Marg, right? And
No, Ananya Bhakti to first seeker are only, if I'm not mistaken. Those who have Ananya Bhakti, they are from the first category of seekers.
okay,
For
they will
them,
merge in
there
the
is no
consciousness.
return. No.
Okay.
They, while
Okay.
living only, they are enlightened and they have, because their subtle bodies, causal body, both are destroyed along with all
Both
its
are
product.
destroyed. Okay, okay. And the common people who are not at all in this, they will go by Dakshina Marga, and people who pray for some goals, they will also go by Dakshina Marga. Like
Yeah, all those
yeah.
Yamimam, Pushpitam, Vacham, Pravadantya. So those people who following all the rituals, they're performing, propitiating all the devatas, Anya devatas for limited ends, like different ends in the world.
Yeah,
All of them will follow the Dakshina Marga.
Dakshina Marga. Right.
So
Thank you.
Jignasu is one who follows the Uttar Marga. Jignasu, if he is completely a jnani, is the first kind of the seeker. There is no marga for him. He attains the um, moksha right here, right now. Whereas the Uttara Marga, Dakshina Marga are for the other two types of seekers. This Om, I think I would need a little more clarity on Upasakas who do the Upasana on Om as a symbol versus Om as a as
Chanting.
representing the Satchidananda, right? So I think that I still don't have that clarity there.
I
Maybe as we
think
read further, we'll get it. Yeah, you
uh,
can share if you have. If
yeah,
you
I
want to share.
think that the mention they are repeatedly mentioning the Omkara. That is the higher consciousness which pervades everything. That Brahman, it is equivalent to that only. It is nothing apart from that. It is that Om is that higher consciousness which is pervading everything, which is the Brahman. So it's that uh, uh, without any form, like if you are uh, doing your upasana in that way, without any without any form, what do we call it? The Sanskrit name I forgot. You are like you are praying the form
Nirgun Nirakara.
Nirguna upasana. If you are doing that, is that Brahman, and that is equivalent to that Om. It is because that Om is just a vibration which is pervading in the universe. It is formless. It is not something that has a name and form. It is that formless and that primordial that vibration which the universe
So
has.
that will come under the first category, no? Because
I didn't follow.
and
Your voice is breaking. I didn't follow.
There is breaking of voice.
of it.
Kindly repeat.
Okay. No. The people who follow Nirguna Brahma Upasana, who consider Om as Satchidananda, they come under the first type of seekers. Then the second type of seekers, the Saguna Brahma Upasana, where for them Om is only a symbol.
Yeah.
For them, they take the Uttar Marg. And then the third type of seekers that take the Dakshina Marga, they're not doing Brahma Upasana. They're doing good karma. They're dharmic people. They're doing some rituals. They follow all the, in order to attain some desired ends, they do all these rituals and prayers and all that. So this is, I think it's Nirguna, Saguna, and those that are doing Anya Devata Upasana. I may be wrong, but I think this is what is meant, because when you say Ananya Bhakti, you don't even consider anything separate from you.
Yeah.
So there is no even Om considering as a symbol. would consider Om as a symbol. That is the clarity that I thought I wanted. How
Actually,
does anyone do Upasana on Om as a
Upasana and Om is only that you are directly with, like, it is a formless thing, so you don't imagine any form. It is only that the vibration you feel while reciting the Om, and you merge with that consciousness while reciting it, and that experience you have of that ananda or that bliss you feel, that whenever you are in meditation for a while, when you feel that same feeling when you are reciting the Om, and what experience you feel when after reciting for a time you have that feeling, is the same with when you are meditating. It's nothing different. It's only that you are chanting Om, that vibration which is in the universe, it sympathizes with your body. You can say the some particular chakras, or maybe that elements in our body, that while uh, repeating Om, those vibrations sympathizes with your system, and you in a way connect with that consciousness, so you feel that uh, bliss or that ananda after a while. Not it is not that 2-3 times only you will chant and you will feel. It is repeatedly if you are doing, and it is mentioned in this Mandukya Upanishad also. He has written that if you chant Om for half an hour daily, you will have very beautiful experiences, and you will he has mentioned that you feel like electric shock or some vibration, and that is there. If you are repeatedly doing it on daily basis, then only you will achieve it. It is not that reciting 2-3 times you will achieve it. No, it is the nad. It is called the nad sadhana, the Om. It is a form of formless upasana. Like, you are
which
not
is true,
praying.
which is
Yeah.
fine, which again brings us back to the question of jignasa. So this Ananya Bhakti it means, it points down to jignasa, right? See, Om, the Upasana on Om gives you a good experience, but does it help you get this knowledge, recognize that you are that? For that, it is knowledge that is required, isn't it? So,
Yeah, knowledge is
like
required.
is required. Like Ashtanga Yoga, the ultimate gain of Ashtanga Yoga is a Nirvikalpa Samadhi, which is only an experience. It does not help you recognize. It is not recognition of Atma, so that way it is not the end ultimate gain.
No, it's not an
Similarly,
yeah, it's just a upasana. Like
Upasana. Similarly, even
it's
Om
only a upasana.
Upasana,
Yeah,
Om Upasana also would only take you to that heightened experience.
yeah,
It is the jignasa which is the true bhakti. That Ananya Bhakti implies the jignasa of knowing what you are, realizing or recognizing who you truly are. No doubt, I'm not denying the fact that Om Upasana, Ashtanga Yoga, all of them help in purifying. But just doing Om Upasana, for instance, without aspect of jignasa would not help, isn't it?
yeah. The line
Correct?
mentioned
So,
here is, the desire to know that Atma is that jnana, and the love to know that Atma is bhakti. So
yeah,
it is, and of course, without knowledge, you do not know any of these things until unless knowledge is on the priority basis. But it is that all these things together will lead you to that moksha path.
However, you need a guru also. Without the guru, there is no jignasa,
Of course,
isn't it?
guru should be there actually
Yeah.
to guide you.
Very interesting, na?
In previous shloka also we were reading the unmanifest, and again there was the avyakta, the two unmanifest form, how Brahmaji from the manifest to unmanifest, and then unmanifest to manifest, how the creation happens. And apart from that is there is other avyakta, avyakta, that is again that unmanifest part, that higher consciousness was described. I think a previous shloka it is all related, that that avyakta, that higher consciousness which was talked about. I think it was in 21 shloka. Avyaktakshara, yeah. Avyaktakshara ityukta samahu paramam gatim. In it also there is also an avyakt, that paramagati was talked of. 20, 21 and 22, they all like
They are very, very
say the
important.
same
I
thing.
think
Yeah.
anyone can read and kindly help me. I can continue reading. If you think that we can repeat this 21 and
Yeah, I would also not be able to read today. We have, so if
or we
anyone
can
else can
we
read,
can
can.
Shall I read?
please go ahead. Yeah. Do you want to read from the shloka or from the meaning?
No, you mean the reading of the shloka, na? Parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yah sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. This is the 20 shloka. It means, shall I read the meaning only? But distinct from that unmanifest is another unmanifest, which is existent and eternal, that is not destroyed when all beings are destroyed. I was talking about this. This is the 20 shloka. Distinct from that unmanifest is another unmanifest, which is existent and eternal. So this is that unmanifest, existent and eternal, that higher consciousness which is pervading everything, which is always existent and eternal. Even the Brahma creation, it is destroyed, but this unmanifest is always existing and it is eternal. Like in the pralaya, the Brahma also dissolves, but this unmanifest form, it always remains. This is that avyakta. Parahatu tasmat avyaktah anyah avyaktah bhava sanatanah. Distinct from or superior to that avyakta is another avyakta, which is eternal. So this is that higher consciousness which is repeatedly explained by Bhagavan in 20, 21 and 22.
It is like the Mahat, Avyakta and Purusha, right?
Yeah.
Mahat is the manifest world, the glory of the manifest world, universe. Avyakta is that of the unmanifest. And both these are there in the Purusha. Like we read about how sleep is, how deep sleep and the state of moksha. Moksha is dissolution, complete dissolution, atyanta pralaya. So similarly, this avyakta, which is beyond the Purusha, is that avyakta, that unmanifest, which contains this mahat as well as the normal avyakta.
Yeah, right. Right. '21 shloka is avyaktoshara ityuktas avyaktoshara ityukta sorry avyaktoshara ityustastamahu paramam gatim yah yam prapya na nivartante taddama paramam mama. The that they say is the highest end, that abode of mind gaining which people do not return is the highest. In this he talked about that paramagati.
No sound. Voice is breaking.
Shall I repeat again?
Please, please.
Avyaktoshara ityuktastamahu paramam gatim yam prapya na nivartante taddama paramam mama. Meaning, the unmanifest that was spoken of as the one that is not subject to destruction, that they say is the highest end, that abode of mind gaining which people do not return is the highest.
Beautiful.
In this verse, they talked about the paramam gatim, like how the Atma is not subject to destruction. It is because it is not subjected to time or any kind of change. So the people who know the Shastra or who are in this knowledge, they reach that paramam gati. Whereas the people who do good or bad, they have different gatis, but the self-realized soul, he always reaches that paramam gati. And for that he needs viveka. Viveka is the means to achieve. And here Bhagwan says that the highest end is you. There is no heaven beyond you. All other places are places from which you will return. This is the heaven entering which you will never return. That is that self-realization. If you go for it, you will never return, and you will, like we have read, you will reach the Paramam Gatim. You will dissolve in that higher consciousness. You will not go through any marga after death. So it is that highest end which you will reach. And even though it is heaven, like it is non-separate from you, and they're non-separate from you, and there is no coming back. That is the greatest abode. And Bhagwan says, I have no abode other than you. I reside in your own intellect. Achieving this Atma by knowledge, which is the only way to achieve it, is moksha. So Bhagwan shows the only means for achieving this and that is none other than committed vichara, inquiry into the nature of the Atma. And then the verse 22 described about the Purusha in two ways. Purusha sapara partha bhaktya labhyastvananya yasyantah sthani bhutani yena sarvamidam tatam. So this we read today. How Purusha, like it has indicates both the Tatastha Lakshana and the Swarupa Lakshana. So in Tathas we have already read how like you have no desire in you, only one desire for that self-realization. It means that one who seems to sleep in the body and that he resides there without performing any action. So any action it is not, there is no desire, only one desire to seek that higher, and that is the self Atma, the Chaitanya Swarupa. He wants to reside in that only. This is the Tatastha Lakshana of Brahman. Every place, every time is Brahman, and it is matter of recognizing what is already existing now. The very knower is non-separate from Brahman, as is everything he knows. So from this we understand that everything is Brahman, and this is the Tatastha Lakshana. And Purusha, another meaning which Swamiji explained is that it is Purna in itself, not limited by space or time. That is whole, this is whole, and this whole coming into being is only a manifestation of name and form. If this whole is removed from that whole, what remains is that whole. So it is Purna in itself. Yeah, Jackie. Dr. Pramla, you can add further, like this we have already discussed, the Ananya Bhakti and these Marga. This is all we read today.
Dr. Sadita, Dr. Radha had told someone take over because they had to do something. So you can continue. Hello?
Yes, Dr. Renu, Dr. Pramla has left.
She told she cannot read today.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
So this we read this shloka only.
Yeah.
So we
And then you can
Ananya-
continue and conclude because she is not, she can't read.
Okay. So here we Bhagwan talked about the Ananya Bhakti. This he says that how are you going to reach this para purusha when it is already the nature of yourself? It is, Bhagwan says, it is gained only by devotion, in which there is no other, like Ananya Bhaktya tu Labhaya. So the devotion characterized, it is a devotion which is characterized by knowledge. If he is already non-separate from yourself, the only way you can pursue him is through the committed pursuit of knowledge. The Ananya Bhakti is that only devotion to one object. And here it is talked about that the self, the devotion to that Atma, which is not other than yourself. So commitment to one's Atma is that Ananya Bhakti. And it is to be imbued with Shraddha, and a longing should be there. When you will have the Shraddha, then only you will have the desire to know that Atma, that Jignasa would be there, and that longing to know is termed as Bhakti. And about the other term which he says that about Atma, he says, Yasya antahasthani bhutani yena sarvam idam tatam. The one within whom are all beings and things in the world, and by whom all beings are pervaded, that is Atma. Just as an effect is pervaded by its material cause, all the names and forms which are effects are pervaded by Atma, the cause. So the Atma is the cause behind everything. It is the cause of everything. It is the one in whom all have their being and by whom all are pervaded. So there's no separate Naam and Rupa, like it all merges. Existence of everything, it belongs to that, only to that Satchitatma. Every name form is reducible to further name and form until the entire Naam Rupa is reduced to that Sat Chit Ananda Atma. And then the two marga were described like like three type of seekers. The one who seeks Brahman, totally committed. The one we say is the Jivan Mukta, who has no desires and seeks the highest or the self Atma. There is no traveling for him after death, because there is no subtle body and causal body left. Causal body is because of that ignorance you have, so you carry on with that causal body. But once you are realized soul, you don't need your causal body will dissolve itself. So these type of seeker, they don't have any causal or subtle body. They will merge into the higher consciousness after they die. They don't need any marg for it. Whereas other upasakas, other seekers, they go by two paths, the Uttara and the Dakshina Marga. The upasaka, they were two, like the upasaka who impose the concept of Brahman or the Omkara as symbol to gain that Parameshwara. They will go to Brahmaloka and they will go through the Uttara Marga. Those who are practicing, those who have like they like mumukshus only, I think, who wants to live, who are in the path of liberation. they will go by Uttara Marga. And those who have some desires, they're praying, or even though other people also who are not on the spiritual path, they will go by Dakshina Marga. They will depart through this Dakshina Marga. And there's a line written, everyone is attracted to moksha, even those who strive for other lokas also. They are attracted to moksha. So once you come on this path, I think it is the evolution starts happening itself. It's a natural this thing. Once you initially you fulfill your desires, and when you slowly when you are on this path, there is a mind shift. I think the initially the praying is for some motives, and then that motive is gone, and you get attracted to the moksha. This is how I think we evolve. Because of ignorance and confusion, they pursue lesser things, thinking that these will solve the problems, and they will seek they will pray, they will achieve, and then how they will have their faith, and further it will the faith deepens, and then slowly they will be attracted to that path of moksha. This is it, I think, nothing more. If you want to read chapter 6, where we left yesterday, I can read that shloka. I think it was 30th shloka. Or can anyone continue?
Dr. Savita, Dhanyavad. Thank you so much for explaining. So kindly continue, Savita ji. I will not be able to. You have explained so beautifully.
I think only 2 minutes are left. So should I read, or can Ishvara be a separate entity? Shall I?
Yeah, please. And kindly concluding prayer also, kindly, if you can oblige. Very beautifully you explained.
A concluding prayer, I don't know the whole thing. I'll just can say Om Shanti Shanti, nothing more.
Yeah, no problem. Please go ahead.
I'll just read this verse 30. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyahanna pranashyami sachamena pranashyati. The one who sees me in all beings and sees all being in me, for him or her I am not remote, and he or she is not remote from me. We read these few paragraphs yesterday, and that how that the me is the sarv in the previous verse 29 shloka, the sarv bhutastam atmanam is been replaced by me here by Krishna, and he says that replacing the word sarv bhutastha atmanam with mam, meaning Ishvara, he brings about that there is no difference between Ishvara and the individual. So the one who sees me, Ishvara, in all beings, meaning as the adhisthana, the basis of all beings, know himself or herself to be that same Ishvara, Paramatma, being non-separate from Atma. I will read this paragraph again. Next, like which we read yesterday. Krishna also says here that everything is in me alone. Sarvam cha mai eva. I am the karana, the cause for everything. I am the adhisthana for everything, the basis for everything. Thus, the person being discussed here recognizes himself or herself in all beings and all beings in the self alone. The only difference between this verse and the previous verse then is that the word Atma has been replaced by the first person, Mam, me. Between the me in the present verse and the Atma in the previous verse, there is no difference whatsoever. One who sees Atma in everything and everything is Ishvara, me in everything and everything in me. I am the one who is the basis of all beings, and in me all the beings have their being, their existence. I am the one who is the basis of all beings, and in me all the beings have their being, their existence. Can Ishvara be a separate entity? Between Ishvara, Krishna, and Jiva, the individual, there is no difference whatsoever. Is there another Ishvara? Since Ishvara is everything, how can he be separate from consciousness Chaitanya, that is the Atma? If Chaitanya Atma is limitless, that is Brahman, then there is no way another being called Ishvara can be standing separately somewhere. If this were the case, Ishvara would become just another guy. Then there would be a difference between Jiva and Ishvara that would never be resolved. There are various contentions in terms of Ishvara, the Lord, and the individual, which have to be analyzed to see if there is any truth in them. Suppose you say, as some do, that the Lord is everywhere and I am fraction of that Lord. Does this mean that all these fractions together make the Lord? If not, what does it mean? Which is the fraction? Please tell me. Is your physical body the fraction? Is your mind the fraction? Or is Atma Chaitanya the fraction? And in all of this, what is dependent on what? What is the reality of what? What is this reality of this physical? What is the reality of this physical body, this mind? When you analyze them all, you find only one existence, Satya. And the Swarupa of this Satya is nothing but Param Brahma, which is the Chaitanya Atma. When the Shastra talk of Ishvara, it is from one particular standpoint. All that is there is Parameshvara alone. Jiva is also just a standpoint. Only from a particular standpoint is there a difference between Jiva and Ishvara. From the standpoint of the Upadhi, there is Jiva and there is Ishvara. The resolution of the two take place only in appreciation of the essential Paramatma, the Satya Vastu. So can we stop here because time I think is 9:03, or shall I just complete this paragraph? Okay, I'll just read two small paragraphs are there regarding can Ishvara be a separate entity. Therefore, when the Lord says, I am the Lord, Aham Ishvara, and the Jiva says, I am an individual, Aham Jiva, the Aham is common and the difference is Mithya, meaning that it is entirely dependent upon Satya. The problem is the difference because being dependent upon Satya, Mithya is not another thing. The whole Jagat is Mithya, depending upon the Satya Vastu for its existence. This Satya Vastu is that Atma. And the Satya Vastu is what is referred to by everyone as I, Aham. Therefore, anyone who says I, including a mosquito, is Param Brahm alone. You are not I and Param Brahm, you are only Param Brahma. So the Satya Vastu is talked about here, that is the only existence. The Swarupa of this Satya is that Param Brahma, which is the Chaitanya Atma. even the person who does not know is Param Brahma, because that Atma is residing in there. He does not know because of his ignorance, but he will be known as Param Brahm because that Atma resides. So even the person who does not statement that Tvam Si means you are Param Brahm right now. It is not something that you become later. Shruti does not say ye shall become. It says that thou art Tat Tvam Asi. This sentence is possible only when the self is already Brahman, which is the vision unfolded in the previous verse and restated in the first line of the present verse. The one who sees me in all beings and all beings in me, yaha mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati. This person is one who has the vision of oneness of Atma. Seeing Atma in all beings and all beings in Atma is the vision. Yeah. Jai Gurudev. I think we'll stop here. We'll continue tomorrow. So, shall I say the end it?
Loka samasta.
You can say Madhuri ji, or anyone can say like I just forget the whole thing.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti. Jai Gurudev.
Jai